Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay between videos. Yeah, it was Christmas, and kids being sick, parents being sick, and, kids. Don't have kids. Trust me on that. Anyway, kitchen crap. Or, what we have here is the Morphy Richards Soup Maker. A product I really don't like. Now, let's talk a bit about kitchen appliances. I think they come into broadly three categories. You've got the stuff that's genuinely useful or can be multitasked. For example, sandwich makers, microwave ovens, electric kettles, deep fat fryers, panini presses, stuff like that. Genuinely useful. You use it on a regular basis. And if someone gifted you one, you'd be quite happy. Then there's the stuff which comes in the middle, which is stuff that fulfills a very specialised purpose and won't be used a lot, but there's no other way of doing it. For example, pasta makers, and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. I'll think of something anyway. And then there's the third category of stuff, which is, what were they thinking? No. The sort of stuff that turns up on infomercials, the sort of stuff that makes you go, nice idea, shame about the execution. And this is an example of such a device. Morphy Richards is a company that's more famous for making toasters, kettles, and the like, and blenders. And funnily enough, this device is effectively an electric kettle with a blender. It was someone actually won this in a raffle before Christmas and gave it to us. They didn't want it. Literally, they were given this as a prize, and they said, "Don't want it." And they said, "Do you want a soup maker?" And we were like, "Oh, okay, we'll take it. We'll give it a go." Pardon me. So I got it home, tried it out, found that there's a lot of really annoying design flaws in it. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take you through it. First of all, you got the base, which looks like a big electric kettle, all stainless steel on the inside. You got this thing here, which is the control unit and the blender. It's heavy. This thing weighs about 3/4 of a kilogram. Makes the unit very top heavy. You got the blender blade there, which turns by itself. It's on a sort of ratchet mechanism so it can turn. The control buttons here. Plastic, which matters. So you put it together like this. It doesn't lock in place. You just have to slide it on top and it connects. This seal, I should point out, is not watertight. It will splash over, and when the blending blades go, it's possible for something to shoot out here. So what's wrong with it? First of all, the base unit. You plug your cable in there, and it's just a standard electric kettle cable, as you get here. And the power goes up there, or up there, I don't know, probably up there, and out here. That then goes into here, to the control unit and the blender motor. And then there's another connection going back down, for the second set of pins, into the base to the heating element in the bottom. Can you see the problem there? Biggest problem of all, this thing is really difficult to wash and clean. I mean, really difficult to wash and clean. It even says here, do not immerse in water. So, they've made a device which can get very messy. And if anyone who makes soups knows, yeah, you can get like the bottom of the pan, you'll get burned in mess, particularly if you're using something like, if you're making a soup with cheese in it or something with a lot of starch. This doesn't help with the fact that whatever kind of stainless steel they've used, it's not very good. It's really hard to clean. The only way you can clean it is literally to put a sponge in and scrub it. And if you look at the bottom, I don't know if you can really make it out in this light. Yeah, you can. Along here, there's darkening. So the heating element is in there, and it's semicircular. And we made some broccoli cheese soup, and the cheese burned in, and it was an absolute bugger to clean off. Now, in the bottom when we got this, there was a sticker saying, if you've got ground in or boiled in dirt, put some warm soapy water in it and let it sit for a couple of hours, and then it'll be easy to clean. Nonsense. Starchy foods, cheesy foods, anything that would burn if you put it in a frying pan, if you put it into your soup, it's going to settle on the bottom here, and it's going to burn into here, and it's going to be an absolute pain to clean, especially since you can't put this in water. So the only option you really have is to get in there with a Brillo pad and just scrub away at it until it's clean. And yeah, so that's the first obvious issue. The next big issue, which is a massive one to me, is you look at this and it looks like a fairly sizable kettle. No, it looks about what would hold, what, 2-3 litres. Problem is you can only actually put in between 1300 and 1600 mils of soup, which isn't a lot for a family of 4. That's actually not very much at all, and especially since it's a minimum, because you know you might not want to make a small amount of soup, and that in itself just kind of ruins the economic argument for this. You know, in terms of, you know, if you want to make less than 1300, you're done for. If you want to make more than 1600, sorry, no can do. And the reason why is because of this unit. The blade goes in, and it sits about there. So if it's below there, the blade will just free spin and probably not do the motor any good. If it's above here, it'll splash out and possibly push the lid off. It's not enough soup for something that looks so big. And then we come on to the unit itself. First of all, plastic. Oh, I don't like that, because again, you can't submerge this in water, so the only way you can clean this is to scrub it. No, you can kind of put it under a tap and spread some water on it, but it doesn't really do a very good job of cleaning. Anyone knows plastic in food long term is not a good idea, particularly if you've ever got Tupperware and you'll see the food stains building up on it. And this is the same here. You know, it is smooth right now, but over time it might pick up scratches. That's going to get food trapped in those scratches, and from a food hygiene perspective, I don't like it now. So I'm willing to be corrected on this, but to me, plastic inside something like this, especially when this part of when you're cooking the soup, this part's not going to be red hot. This is going to be hot enough for bacteria and what knows else to breed. I just don't like it, to be honest with you. I would have rather they used maybe a longer, stiffer shaft and made this higher up. But anyway, it doesn't look, I don't like it. And secondly, these screws. These are an absolute bugger to clean. I mean, really, the blade spins and stuff gets attached here, and it's just Phillips head screwdriver. Sorry, Phillips head screws. Like, you try and scrub them and there's always a little bit of food stuck inside, and there's a little bit of food stuck inside them right now, if you can kind of see that. What were they thinking? Surely this should have been a single unit which slid over, so that you didn't have to have this here. This is just, it just collects food residue, which just turns bad and could make you sick. I'm sorry, Morphy Richards. What were you thinking? And again, this isn't cleanable, so no, it's cleanable, but only if you wipe it with a sponge and a cloth. Okay, what next? Right, functionality. The functionality of this thing is terrible. It doesn't do very much. I'm just going to plug it in. I can't actually switch it on because well, I can kind of, but I'll show you a few things. Now, if you've ever heard of a term called dark patterns, ooh, it's loud. Dark patterns are a big thing on web design and software design. It's where you try and trick people into making a mistake. So you're not deliberately frauding them, but because of the way you've designed a process, they're more likely to do something that you want them to do, which may be detrimental to them. A good example would be the old Ryanair Airlines booking website, where they asked you what kind of insurance you wanted and they give you a list of countries. But the option for no insurance was just before Norway in the list, so you had to look through this list of countries to find no insurance. So a lot of people would have assumed they have to buy insurance of some kind, even though it was optional. They did away with that, thank God. I'm actually going to say there's something similar going on here. Look at these buttons. They're not buttons. They're actually, if you can see a light flashing across here, it doesn't seem to be showing up. Focus. That was really weird. I'll see how it looks when I edit it. But anyway, there's a light jumps across here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What these buttons are, there's actually just pictograms. The first one is smooth, chunky, juice, and blend. So what you do is to select the item you want, you press the mode button. So let's say I want blend at the end. Blend just spins the blade. So I have to press that 4 times to get to there. And then I use the select / on off button to do what I want it to do. So if I wanted smooth, I'd move it over to here and press start. Now smooth heats the soup and blends it, so you get a smooth soup. Chunky only heats it, so if you put in chunky veg, they won't be affected. They won't be blitzed down. Juice is a pre-programmed blender only setting, so you put in some fruit and veg, put it onto that setting, and it'll go through a process of blending them. So you could just use the blend setting and press on and off, but this is supposedly better somehow. So yeah, so it's the sort of thing you look at it and it looks like it's got more functionality than it has, but it doesn't really. There's 4 things you can do with this, and it's basically a variation of blender blade on or off, heater on or off. Now, if you want smooth, you press that, 21 minutes, and what will happen is after about 17, it'll give it a quick blend, cook a bit more, another blend, and then it's ready. If you want chunky, it goes to 28 minutes. The difference why it's longer is because chunky things take longer to cook. So with a smooth setting, you're breaking the food down. It doesn't need as much cooking time. So the theory is. But do you see the problem here? You can't change this. Your soup has to fit into whatever your soup you're making has to be either 21 minutes for smooth, 28 minutes for chunky. So you're kind of, there's no pre-programmability to change the times and settings. Compare this to bread makers, which generally let you choose a time setting, or they let you have a certain amount of manual control. And this is, pardon me, and this is the thing why this compares so badly to a bread maker. Making bread is a fairly labour-intensive, messy process. You measure your ingredients into a bowl, mix them around, knead it. It's messy and it's sore on your hands. Then you put it out for a first dries near something warm, so you've got to have a warm area in your house. Then you have to knock out your yeast, knead it again, then put it back in the oven, or maybe have a second raise if you want it. The whole process is fairly convoluted. The idea of just pouring all the ingredients into your bread maker and then coming back in an hour or two and having nice bread, even if it looks a bit funny and has a big hole with a dough hook coming out the bottom, is acceptable to most people. It's labour saving. It does a job. This, on the other hand, is it much better than using a pot on a hob? I don't think it does. Because at the end of the day, if you want smooth soup, you chop up your vegetables, which you have to do with this anyway. You put it in your pot, boil it for a bit, and take a hand blender and jupe it, as we call it. Note, hand blenders are a tenner now. This was they retail from about €70 to €100, depending on where you're going, which is a lot of money for what is basically an electric kettle with a built-in blender, especially the lack of functionality. And the fact that it's so limited in what it does. It's, you have to have a very specific amount of soup. Cleaning it is an absolute pain. I think there's hygiene issues with this, in terms of it being so hard to clean and the use of plastic. Coupled with the fact that this is going to get filled with food. That's going to get filled with food. It's going to affect contacts. All these screw heads around the side here, they're going to get filled with food. They're going to become hard to clean. Now, they could have made this so much better. First of all, this should either be lined with Teflon at the very least, or it should be removable. No, there's no technical reason why they couldn't have made a removable cooking receptacle. This could have been redesigned to make it easier to clean. First of all, this bit shouldn't be as long where the motor's housed. It should be shorter, and there should be a longer shaft, so that there's less chance for food to splash up on this part of the device. And the electrical connections here could have been made a bit simpler, because it's just a bit of a convoluted mess, really, and also maybe make it less top heavy. Yeah, so all in all, I just don't like this. I think it's not labour saving. There's nothing about this makes me go, I would rather use this over cooking soup in a pot on the hob. Especially since I don't have a lot of choice over how I cook the soup, for example. And also the fact that certain soups are a no-go. Like broccoli, any soup with cheese in it, broccoli cheese soup, cheese and ham soup, whatever. No, it'll burn onto the bottom and you'll spend the best part of an hour trying to scrub it off. And anything with starch in it as well is the same. And it's also very loud. So basically, if you're only willing to cook fairly watery soups using veggies that don't burn or spoil at high temperatures, and you're willing to only make between 1300 and 1600 mils of soup, yeah, perfect. Other than that, don't waste your money. It's not a very good product, I'm sorry. And, you know, if a bit more effort had been put into the design, it would actually be a pretty decent product. But as it stands, it's just not worth the money. I'm very sorry. Sorry, Morphy Richards. You make good kettles, but this is not very good. Cheers, take care, bye bye.